Alright, let's do this. So, as promised, actually I didn't promise, here is the KeyShot tutorial on how to create an infinity mirror. Now, just a little background. This was originally created for a training that I led, specifically a KeyShot training, and the training took place in KeyShot 11. However, today we're going to be using KeyShot 2023 because there's been some changes. However, the workflow still remains the same. So let's get into it. Now, KeyShot is based on physically accurate materials and lighting. So to test this, I thought that creating an infinity mirror would be a good way to go about it. Did some research on infinity mirrors. Learned that a two-way mirror is created with a very thin piece of aluminum. So here you can see I've got an aluminum polished material, and older mirrors they used silver. So I've got a silver material here as well. When I researched infinity mirrors, here's what I found. Let me turn on this exploded view here. So you'll see that we've got the infinity mirror in an exploded view. In the front we have our two-way mirror. Okay. And in the back we have our mirror. Now as I rotate around, you'll see here's the silver plane. And so the mirror in the back was created from a cube. However, the silver plane that we have here was the back face of the cube. So I separated the back face of the cube to have the materials separate. So we have silver here. When I double click on the glass of the mirror, you'll see that I'm using just our regular glass material, not a glass solid or another transparent material. It's important to utilize the glass because the light will pass through it, basically ignoring the glass, and won't cast shadows that solid glass would. So moving forward, covered our mirror. Here is the LED that we're using. It's just made up of a solid there. Moving in front of the LED, it may be hard to see from this angle, but I've done something similar to the two-way mirror that I did to the regular mirror, in that the front here is the glass of the mirror, and I separated the back and then applied an aluminum to the back of the mirror. And this is where things get special, because if you notice, when we look into the front, we don't see the aluminum, but as we go and rotate around to the back, the aluminum is clearly visible. So this is the key point here. This is what you have to do in order to make this work. I'm going to open up the material graph. I'd like to show you two nodes that we have here. Let's lay this out. Go ahead and delete that. So currently in this multi-material, we have our aluminum polished surface, but you'll notice that I've got a node here that you may not be familiar with. This node is, as it states, surface backside mask. In KeyShot 11, this was only available in the experimental features. So I'll open up KeyShot 11 right now. To enable the experimental features, in KeyShot 11, go to Edit, Preferences. In the Preferences window, select the General tab here on the left, and make sure that this experimental features is checked. If you do not have this available, there is another place to access it. The place where you can access those experimental features is going to be in the KeyShot resources directory in the main directory here. So let me alt-tab over. You'll find it inside of the KeyShot 11 settings.xml, and open that with Notepad, and then look for this experimental features option here, and you'll want to change this false to true as you see it there. Well, once you do that and you save your file, then the experimental features checkbox should be available to you. I'm going to select the material graph now. To get to the experimental features, go to Nodes, Utilities, and now you'll see the surface backside mask here. Take the surface backside mask and you can place it into the opacity. And now we don't see the back of the plane. We are, however, seeing the shadow. It's clipping a little bit as well. But when we go and look at it from the bottom, it is clearly visible there. So surface backside mask was an experimental feature. I think it was started in KeyShot 8 and remained that way until KeyShot 11. So I'm going to close this and go back to KeyShot 2023. And so here's our surface backside mask in KeyShot 2023, but I'd like to point out, if you go to Nodes, Utilities, the surface backside mask is no longer available as an option. Unfortunately, it did not make it into KeyShot 2023. However, there's a reason why for that. And so now I'm going to select the other material that we have here in the multi-material, and this option, this experimental feature, has now been released, and this is the ray mask. If you go to Nodes, Utilities, you can see ray mask is right down here. And so the reason why the surface backside mask was removed is because the ray mask actually will do the same thing. So as you can see here, we have our ray mask, and if I check front of geometry, we can now see the aluminum of our two-way mirror. Okay, so surface backside mask is now ray mask in KeyShot 2023, and if we want to hide the back of the geometry, we simply select either front of geometry or back. In our case, to hide the back, we're actually hiding the front of the geometry. This is what allows us to create the infinity mirror effect. Let me go back to my other shot. And there it is all together. If we look at the side here, we do have a frame visible, but that's all right. Here is our panel window. Here's our aluminum on the side, and I wanted the aluminum polished. And if we turn that aluminum polished off, we can now see that the front glass is basically showing us the mirror that is in the back. When we turn on the aluminum polish, now we have the infinity mirror effect. And again, looking at that aluminum polished, we are utilizing the ray mask, which has a few other functions that I'm going to invite you to check out on your own time. The final part to getting this to work correctly is ensuring that your ray bounces are turned up. Note, 256 ray bounces is very extreme. Okay, so let's do something like 14, the default. And here you can see, not really an infinity mirror. We can let it bake in and it will slowly update, but really it's only going to go so far until you increase the ray bounces. Take it up to 20, 30, 34, 42, 50. And so as we increase those ray bounces, now you can see that it travels further back. However, not going into infinity. If you simply turn up your ray bounces all the way, it kind of stops at 64. So I figured, okay, we want this to extend into infinity, so let's turn it up to 86. We'll let it go and bake in, and it should, again, continue to go on into infinity, but that wasn't enough, so I increased it to 128. And now when we look at it from a front right view, it will go deeper than what we see here. And I'll see if we can speed things up by turning on the region render and placing it over there. And it will slowly begin to fill in, but I still found it wasn't going far enough. So again, I just decided to double that number and turn it up to 256. And now there is no doubt as to how far back it will extend. Let's take a look at it in the front view. And if we had a lot of time, I'd just let this bake in. But essentially, that is the last and important step there. And I have been running in GPU mode, just like to point that out. Will definitely run better in GPU mode as compared to interior mode, which may take a little while to bake in. So keep that in mind. GPU mode, much faster. So I hope you guys find this useful, and see what we can do about maybe making another tutorial in the future for something else KeyShot. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up.